On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, the Thunder are 12-1. Does that change their win total expectation? And the schedule softening up is a great thing for OKC.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This is the number one sports podcast in the world. Thanks to all of you everydayers who make this show work. So I appreciate everyone who listens. I'm your host, media member and beat writer for Thunder on SI, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. On today's show, we're diving into the Thunder's schedule softening up for them and how beneficial that is to close the month of November. And this team is 12-1, even while being shorthanded. Does that change the expectations moving forward for this team? Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. We're joined by Brandon Rahbar of DailyThunder.com and the OKC Dream Team, where you can find both of us over there. Brandon, how you doing today?
I am doing well. A rare 2 days in a row where we have off. Now, not for Rylan. Rylan is grinding at the OKC Blue game. So Rylan, the hardest working man in the OKC media. But for the rest of us, Thunder media, a rare 2 days off.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to convince you guys to come out and watch Jemai Meshack in the Hustle, and they got a buzzer beater win tonight in the Paycom Center. 3 straight days in the old compound, and the 2 days that we spent there together, we saw the Thunder just dominate the Warriors and the Lakers. They go 2-0 in this tough back-to-back. And Brandon, let's start there. With the Thunder being 12-1 right now, despite the fact that they've played 3 back-to-backs, despite the fact that they've played 7 of their games on the road, despite the fact that they've been shorthanded, and they did it while beating in this stretch the Rockets on opening night, and then the Lakers and the Warriors on consecutive nights, as those are 3 teams that people believe are contenders in this very tough Western Conference. Well, what stood out to you about this amazing start to the year for Oklahoma City?
I think that's exactly it. I think it's the depth of this team. The talent of this team truly goes 12, 13, 14, however many deep you want to say. I guess the only ones that wouldn't be included in the 1 through 18 would be the guys who are injured, who aren't playing right now, like Sorber and Topic. We don't know when those guys will, be able to, well, we know Sorber's out for this year. Anyways, Ajay Mitchell stepping up. Aaron Wiggins, when he's been out there, stepping up. Isaiah Hartenstein is taking a leap. It's like all across the roster, everybody seems to have gotten better from a championship roster. Like last year, they win the championship just a few months ago, and somehow Chet looks better. He looks healthier. He looks more aggressive. But to me, the constant has been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, no matter who's in the lineup any given night, no matter who's injured, no matter who's playing, plug and play, Shai is going to get you 30, and he's going to lead you to a win, and he's probably going to sit the fourth quarter. Like, just constant, night to night. He is so consistently great. I know the famous quote, "My whole life is consistent," but I mean, it's true. His gameplay is remarkably consistent, and that leads to the Thunder winning. But I do think that the talent and the depth, and of course, the storyline so far really has been Ajay Mitchell. If we're wanting to pinpoint something besides Shai and the depth specifically, it would be Ajay Mitchell. But I'm just impressed with this roster. No matter who plays any given night, the depth of this team, being able to step up and get wins, is just so impressive.
This team has missed J-Dub all season. Multiple games from Lou, multiple games from Caruso, multiple games from Chet, and a game from Cason Wallace. They've missed all of their top defenders for at least one game, and most of them for multiple. And yet they have the number 1 defensive rating, and it's not even close at 103 defensive rating for this team. There's a difference in like the normal coach speak of next man up and the fact that the next man up for this Thunder roster are so talent rich on that side of the floor, and they can consistently get to their style of play. But you mentioned SGA. He's been the constant. And I for as much as we can, wax poetically about the depth of this team, he's been the constant for 2 straight years now as they deal with injuries. Last year he was out there whenever they dealt with no centers, and they dealt with one center, and they dealt with the injuries to Chet and to Ihart and to J. Will and to Kinrich, and he was always there to provide this setting presence for OKC and let them not miss a beat. I think that he is the most valuable player from that standpoint, because you look at a team like OKC, and even for as stacked as this roster is, even as they are unanimously agreed upon as the deepest, most talented team, the one guy they cannot afford to miss, the one guy they cannot get around is SGA. And with that, he's, of course, bagged the NBA MVP, the Western Conference Finals MVP, the Finals MVP. With how he has started this season, coming off of the scoring championship last year, the NBA title last year, I want to put you on the spot because it was a question that we asked on our Lockdown Thunder Squad show. Is Shai the best player in the world?
I think you can make the argument. I think Shai and Nikola Jokic are the 2 best players in the world. And if you want to argue for Jokic, I think you have a valid argument. And if you want to argue for Shai, I think you have a valid argument. But these 2 guys have clearly, head and shoulders, been the 2 best players in the world over the last 2 years. They finished 1-2 and 2-1 in the MVP voting. And then, they lead the 2 best teams in the NBA. Like, if you were to ask 100 NBA fans, observers, like, put away all bias, what 2 teams do you think are the 2 teams that have the best chance to win a title? It would be the Thunder and it would be the Nuggets. And largely, yes, because of the depth and the talent and the other guys. But it all starts with Shai and Jokic. I think that given the fact that Shai won all the things you could win in an NBA season last year, scoring title, MVP, Western Conference Finals MVP, NBA Finals MVP, best guard season since Michael Jordan, one of the top 5-ish seasons of all time individually. Jokic was up there as well. But I think the fact that these 2 teams played in the playoffs, a 7-game series, and Shai did outplay Jokic. He did. Shai outplayed him. So right now, I think you can argue Shai is the best player in the world because he's won everything the most recently, and he did outplay the other best player in the world candidate head-to-head in a series, and his team won and goes on to win the title. So I think it's one of those 2 guys. With all due respect to Giannis and to Luka and to anybody else you want to name, I think it is clearly Shai and Jokic.
Yeah, I would agree that it's only a conversation between Shai and Jokic. And let's just appreciate the fact that Shai has taken this extraordinary trajectory to get here. Like, it's unbelievable, really, the fact that he is in these best of the world conversations, and not just in the conversation, but you can make a rightful claim that he's the best player in the world today, whenever he was quite literally not even in the initial tweet about the trade. Like, it was all about the draft picks. And no, yeah, they got Shai too, but all about the draft picks. And it's like, no, Shai is the most important piece out of all of that. Yes, the draft picks are great. It lands you J-Dub. It could land you a great pick this year after what the Clippers have started out with. But without Shai, none of it truly matters to this degree of having this much success. Like, having Shai is what allows you to talk dynasties, what allows you to talk juggernaut, is what allows you to be unbeatable, is what allows you to be 12-1 right now this season. I think that you can make the stronger argument that Shai's at the top of the mountain today on November 14th in the year of our Lord 2025. He's the best player in the world. I think that if you were to stack up their bodies of work to one another, you could probably still give the edge to Jokic, as someone who's been consistently dominating the league for more years than Shai has, although they're getting close as Shai continues to dominate. I don't really care, frankly, who you have as the best player in the world. And I think that you can also boil it down to, if I was starting a franchise, if I'm looking to win a one-on-one game, if I'm looking to see the best individual talent who does the most on the floor, you could also look at it from a standpoint of like, who's the hardest to game plan around. So there's so many branches off this tree that is so subjective already in nature that it doesn't quite matter who the actual number one is. I do believe that today, right now, it's Shai. I think that that big picture wise, it's still Jokic by a hair to me. But the fact that it's clearly one of those 2 guys is insane in Oklahoma City, Brandon.
And I agree with you. I think that's a good way to put it. Right now, at this moment, I do think that Shai, because of all the things that he did last year and accomplished, and the fact that he did go head-to-head against Jokic and outplayed him and his team beat him, I think it's Shai right now at this moment. Agreed. Bigger body of work right now. It goes to Jokic. Here's the other thing that I don't think gets talked about enough when it comes to Shai. You know, when people are making their top 5 best players in the NBA list, you know, you're saying all those names, Jokic and Shai, and then people will say Luka, Giannis, and either Anthony Edwards or Wemby, right? So coming into the season, I think that most people were with Tatum out, Halliburton out, they were putting Anthony Edwards in that 5th spot. In their most recent head-to-head playoff series against each other, Shai has outplayed Jokic. Shai has outplayed Anthony Edwards. And yes, Luka and the Mavs did beat the Thunder in 6, but Shai outplayed Luka in that series. He outplayed Jokic, Luka, and Anthony Edwards in their most recent playoff series head-to-head. Nobody really talks about that. And that's where, that's where you're supposed to gain the respect and, make your legacy and gain the player rankings and all those things. But people don't talk about that. I think it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's a massive deal. And we'll continue talking about what a massive deal it is for the Thunder to have their schedule finally let up on them after such a grueling start. And then we'll discuss if this 12-1 start has altered our reality of what to expect in the win total for Oklahoma City. But first, I want to tell you right now about our good friends over at Drip Drop, folks. Go check them out today because when I'm hydrated, everything just works better. You're more focused, you're energetic, your mood, even your skin is better. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. They've sent us some and I love it. It's a doctor-developed hydration that keeps you running at full power no matter what your day looks like. Drip Drop isn't just your average sport drinks. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of the leading brands using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. Check them out today because I love the fact that it's just part of your daily routine now. I throw a little mix packet into my water in the morning and then boom, you're able to be hydrated the rest of the way. I loved using Drip Drop. I still use it to this day. They have some great flavors for you to check out. My personal favorite being berry. Hydration has been a non-negotiable for me ever since I found out about Drip Drop. It helps you feel sharper, calmer, and honestly, just better overall. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com, use promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNBA for 20% off your first order. Stack up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind at performing even better with Drip Drop. Go check them out today at Drip Drop. Also want to say right now, but good friends over at Wayfair, folks. Wayfair is incredible. Brandon, you're going to be hosting some holiday festivities here shortly, and it's right around the corner. That means you need to get your home ready to go. Whether you need more seating for guests, cozy new linens, or fun serveware for holiday hosting, Wayfair's Black Friday sale is here to help you make your space shine. And the best part is, you don't have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are happening all month long, up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. Go check them out today. I recently had to upgrade my desk setup here. I needed a nice big desk to hold all of the podcasting equipment, and Wayfair hooked me up. They can hook you up with whatever you need. Again, the new seating for holiday hosting will be big for your occasion, and you want to make sure you have everything that you need. If you're maybe the first time you're hosting your holidays with your family, you want to impress. So go check them out today and see what all they can do for you to make the difference with a few nice touches at Wayfair. It makes it easy. Don't miss out on the early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale up to 70% off. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Sale ends December 7th, so you have Black Friday deals for a long time here at wayfair.com, but go there right now to save up to 70% off. Brandon, we're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. I'm Rylan Stiles. You can go check us out Monday through Friday after every single game. So we'll be back again after that Hornets contest. And our new Lockdown Thunder squad show with Jeremy Lamb dropped on Thursday. That'll be every Tuesday and Thursday at 3:30 Central Time. Plus, we have our Monday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Time live streams with Derek Parker. So a lot of content for you here at Lockdown Thunder. Brandon, when you're looking at this team, they're 12-1 right now. And we've gone through the difficulties of this stretch. It's been 3 back-to-back, 7 games on the road, missing Jalen Williams all season, missing multiple games from Lou, Caruso, Wiggins, Chet, Joe, and missing a game from Cason Wallace. So this team has not been whole at all, but they're 12-1 with wins over the Rockets, the Warriors, and the Lakers. two of them being just massive bludgeonings in the Paycom Center, and yet they have the number 1 net rating, the number 1 defensive rating, and the number 6 offensive rating, but they're only half of a rating away from being in the top 5 of both offense and defense, and of course, the best net rating in the league. And you look at them at 12-1, Brandon, and this schedule finally gives them a reprieve. We talked about it, 2 straight off days for this Thunder roster on Thursday and Friday before heading on Saturday to go take on the Charlotte Hornets. It's a Saturday in Charlotte, Brandon, that we always talk about all summer long of a meaningless game. Off day on Sunday, they go take on New Orleans on Bourbon Street. The Pelicans just are nothing. There's not a good basketball team. Then they have an off day again and play the Kings again. I'm so tired of watching the Sacramento Kings. An off day again, and then they play the Utah Jazz after following another off day. So you look at this stretch now, and it goes from 3 games in 4 nights the entire way this season to now you have 4 games in 7 nights for this Thunder roster. How important do you think that this will be to finally get these guys some rest?
I think it's going to be big for this team. Obviously, dealing with all the injuries they've been dealing with. Lou Dort has missed the last several games. Jalen Williams, we're still waiting for him to play. Aaron Wiggins, we don't know his timeline yet. But the more days off, the better for everyone. Even if you're not missing games, like these back-to-backs, these 3 games in 4 nights, those add up, those bumps and bruises. It was nice to see Chet and Caruso play on the second night of a back-to-back. I think resting that 4th quarter against the Warriors was very helpful, and them playing against the Lakers. Mark Daigneault has kind of mentioned the brutal stretch of schedule that they've had. He's brought it up, like as far as like the amount of games in the small number of nights. Like the Thunder played more games than anybody else in the league. I think that that's important. And like you said, just the opponents that they're going to be playing, the teams themselves that they're going to be playing, not only are they going to get some rest, like in between games, like a day off, a couple days off here and there, they might be getting a lot of 4th quarters off as well. Shai has already set 7 4th quarters and played 6. He's set more 4th quarters than he's played, which is helpful, of course. But yeah, this is a really nice stretch. You never know what can happen any given night. It's like any given Sunday in the NBA, maybe not quite as common as the NFL. That said, the Thunder should stretch to 16-1 after this stretch. When you're looking at the Hornets, Pelicans, Kings again, and the Jazz, very good opportunity to get some rest, to heal up, and also to get some more wins in the win-loss column.
So you've already given them 16-1. I want to go through the rest of the month of November because there's no more back-to-backs, and there's 2 double off days, which is so rare, both right now, and then another double off day on the 24th and 25th for this Thunder team. So the rest of November, they play Charlotte, New Orleans, Sacramento, Utah. You've considered that 4-0. And then they go home to take on Portland, 2 days off at home to take on Minnesota, and then an off day and home to take on Phoenix, both of those NBA Cup games, another off day, then they jet up to Portland to close the month on the 30th. Do they get through the rest of November with just 1 loss, Brandon?
They really could. Okay, because like you go through the schedule like you just did. All right, so the next game after this 4-game stretch is the Blazers. Well, can we say the Blazers, to their credit, the Thunder's 1 loss is to Portland. But the Thunder at home, knowing that they already got that 1 loss to the Blazers, I can't see them losing again to the Blazers in back-to-back games after having beat them like 49 times in a row before that. And then you got the Timberwolves at home. Well, that's an NBA Cup game, and that is basically for all the marbles as far as like the Group A West Cup goes. Like whoever wins that, let's be honest, is probably winning that group. So there's motivation there. You got to like their chances at home. And then you got the Suns, their last, cup game as far as this group goes. So you like their chances again, another day off. You got the Blazers again on the road. Could be tough. Blazers have been a tough team. If you're just on paper, of course, you're going to favor the Thunder in every single game, but it's hard to just like stretch out for the rest of the month and just say, okay, undefeated. You feel like you should just bake in a loss or two just because that's what happens in the NBA. But just looking at it, it looks like a bunch of W's.
But this Thunder team continues to be uncommon. That Minnesota game, the most challenging, but it's the game that you have 2 days off before. It's the game that's the NBA Cup. You mentioned it. Like these two teams should make the NBA Cup. knockout stage because of how weak the group is. Like you already saw the Thunder start the NBA Cup with a blowout win over Sacramento. Like the blowouts over Sacramento that you already have in hand, you should blow out the Jazz, you should blow out the Suns, and that shouldn't make your point differential so great that the one loss to Minnesota won't hurt you, and vice versa. Minnesota should be blowing out these teams in their cup play as well, and then they have the point differential and just the one loss to where they both get to the knockout stage. But there's also the cup motivation. There's also the Ant versus Shai sneaker disses on the sneaker campaign trail motivation, and it's at home, and it's a rematch of the Western Conference Finals. It's going to be such a great game. That's the best game of the month the rest of the way here, is that one against Minnesota. And, you know, this Thunder team, you mentioned Portland, having to play them in 3 times in such a condensed stretch is going to be weird because you can start to get some awkward familiarity between the two. But they just ran out of gas against Portland for their one loss. The second night of a back-to-back, they blew a lead. Like they just ran out of gas in that contest, and you don't foresee that happening with the rest advantage in those 2 games for OKC, to where I'm starting to think that they can just pull this off and not lose again this month. It's crazy. It's crazy. But Brandon, how can I sit here and keep doubting this team?
It's hard to. And the other unspoken thing here is they might, I'm not saying they will, they might get J-Dub back during this stretch of games. Like, we're in the window where we should be hearing, an update as far as his timeline, his return to play progress and all those things. So possibly J-Dub comes back at some point soon. Lou Dort, he could be back. Aaron Wiggins, so not only are you getting some rest, not only is the schedule as far as opponents, lighting up, getting lighter, but you also may be getting some guys back, some really good players back, your second all-NBA player back, your first team all-defense player back, and the man who say basketball back. So those things will help. This could be an opportunity before the schedule gets tough again to really put some cushion as far as like the 1 seed goes in the West, and to possibly, I'm not saying, but to possibly maybe make some history as far as wins go.
We'll talk about making history and if this changes our win total expectations, all coming up on today's Locked On Thunder podcast. But first, I want to tell you right now, my good friends over at DoorDash, the NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating something that they call in your bag with the bag drop, folks. It's every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash is dropping 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. And we're talking player-inspired drip. We're talking exclusive gear. We're talking stuff you actually want. Go check them out today because DoorDash has you covered for late-night highlights, last-minute watch parties, double overtime fuel-ups. Perhaps you spent a little bit too long watching basketball. You got caught in the late window and you forgot to pack your lunch, and you can order lunch to your office the next day with DoorDash using Dash Pass. And the next time someone goes off for 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day for 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the ultimate bag drop. DoorDash Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the next day after a 50-point game with the promo code. Terms and conditions apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Also want to tell you right now, we're good friends over at FanDuel, folks. FanDuel is incredible, and the NBA season is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game and want to ride the hot hand whenever you already see a guy get going, or you have a feeling that, you know what, this better team came out flat, they're going to make a late fourth quarter comeback, you can bet on that live. Plus, if you combine those live bets into the same game parlay, you have a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps games more exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com, sign up today, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Again, if you're a new customer, you place that $5 bet. If it hits, you get $300 in bonus bets. You know what today is. It's Friday. Friday, and it's the NBA Cup day, and you can check out all the NBA Cup action, including my 76ers being 5.5-point underdogs against Detroit. Go check that out today at FanDuel.com. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. Brandon, you hinted at it. They're 12-1 right now. We just went through the month of November. It's feasible. Now, I don't think that either one of us want to guarantee anything, but it's feasible that they could end November with just one loss. Does this change your expectation in terms of win total? Does this change your feeling on if they could topple the Warriors' record? Let's just summarize it with this. Do they get to 70 wins?
That, to me, is the big question. It's not so much like, can they beat 73? Can they beat 72 from the Bulls? It's more like, can you hit that 70 mark? Because that's historic, even if you don't break the total wins record. And I think it's in play. I think this team is better than it was last year. The team itself has mentioned that. Watching them play without J-Dub and with all these injuries they've had so far, I think they're a better team. And I think one of the factors is, yes, they're already at 12-1, so they've got a great head start as far as achieving that, like the pace that they're on. But also the West isn't quite as deep and tough as we thought it would be. Like, there may be 5 tanking teams pretty soon in the West that we did not anticipate. Like, we thought that it was going to be every team is going for the playoffs, and it's going to be a tough out any given night, except for the Jazz. The Jazz have been a little bit more competitive than expected, but still should be a tanking team. And then you add into the mix, I mean, the Grizzlies, Kings, Pelicans, the Mavs soon. The Clippers right now are not playing great basketball. They look older and injured and question marks all over the place. So I think the fact that they're off to a great head start, they look better. They're playing this well with all these injuries, despite those injuries, and the West isn't as tough. I think that they can. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying they could hit 70, Rylan.
If you had to place a wager, where would you put a cup of coffee? Would you put it on them hitting 70 plus or below 70?
That is so tough because I love coffee. I don't want to lose that coffee.
Yeah, we love coffee.
We do. Are we talking like a Dutch Bros? Can we say names on here? Is that like going to get us in this?
It's just a cup of coffee from your favorite establishment.
There we go. Yeah, you can bleep me out if you need to. I would put it at. You know what? I'll say they hit 70. We've had all this talk about it. Why not?
That would be unbelievable.
It would
be unbelievable. This team is unbelievable.
It is.
This team is uncommon. And, I've been fighting against this. Commenters have been on this 70-plus win bandwagon since the summer. And I've been talking about the shortened off season. I've been talking about the 0-0 mentality. I've been talking about how at the end of the year, the Thunder will prioritize rest and freshness. But the problem that I keep finding is what you mentioned. The West is just so uncompetitive at the bottom where it's like, well, what if this Jazz situation doesn't get better? And what if the Grizzlies tank? The Mavericks better tank. New Orleans is already tanking. Utah better, while they've been a spunky team, they better start losing in a big way because they owe the Thunder they have a top 8 protected pick that they would owe to the Thunder if it falls below 8. And with the lottery odds that have flattened, folks, they need to be like bottom 4 to ensure that they don't lose that pick and get punished if someone else jumps up, because they could finish with like the 8th best odds and be in position to keep it. It takes one leaper at that point to push them down and give that pick to OKC, all for taking on Derek Favors. So like the Jazz better start losing. The Kings already reportedly going to go into a fire sale. They're going to start losing. And I go back to last year when the Portland Trailblazers came into town and the Thunder rested everybody to the point where they got investigated by Adam Silver. That's how much they rested guys. And yet J. Will goes off for a triple-tuple, and this team beats and kills the momentum of that Portland team, threatening for the play-in late. And it's like, I mean, even if they start resting guys, can they still beat the bottom half of the West? Sure. I think that's true. I think that they're capable of that. I would say no, just because of how historic 70 wins is. Yes. And even last year, whenever they weren't pushing for anything like 70 wins or 73 wins or 74 wins, but they were pushing to be the best record overall in the NBA. They never let that into their mindset. They never let that into their decision making of who to start, who to play, who to rest. Their whole mindset was, we want to be as fresh as possible for the ultimate goal. And it just so happened that organically they got to 68 wins, and organically they got the best record in the NBA. But it wasn't as though that was a point of emphasis for them. And I think that that's how they're going to handle it this year. And to me, if getting to 70 plus isn't a point of emphasis, it's not going to happen. And I don't think it should be, frankly, Brandon. I think that the only thing this team should be concerned about is getting the 1 seed and resting their guys and being prepared for another long playoff run. And with how the Thunder have started, and if they do in the month of November what we think that they're going to do, yes, it put them on pace for 70 plus, but most importantly, it put them on pace to comfortably get their 3rd straight number 1 seed in the West. And then at the end of the season, they can start to play the chess match of making up for a shortened off season and getting some much needed rest for this team, making another deep playoff push.
I completely agree with that. And it really will come down, I think, to that final month. And do they lock up the number 1 seed pretty early? Because that is the most important thing, just to make sure you have the number 1 seed locked up. And then you do prioritize being healthy and being sharp going into the playoffs, because this team, they've won a championship. The goal is the championship. The goal is not 70 wins. The goal is not 74 wins. The goal is to win another championship. And I think that is what they will prioritize. Now, also, towards the end of the season, they could just be handed wins, because there could be a lot of teams that are tanking because this is such a great draft class. And because even if they play their 2nd and 3rd string guys, they may be playing some teams that are like, here, take this win. We don't want this win. Please take it. But then, you also, on the flip side of that, you could be playing some teams that very much want to win, that are, positioning themselves for the playoffs, for seeding, and the Thunder just don't care because they have the number 1 seed locked up. So a lot of that at the end will decide, I think, ultimately whether they get 70 wins or not, because I agree with you. I don't think Mark Daigneault or this team will prioritize 70 wins and actually push for that.
And to further your point, the month of April, where the Thunder could be resting guys and could be taking advantage of it, I want to be very clear. I think that this team will hit their over on the win total projection of 63 wins and a half easily. I think that this team will threaten for 68 plus wins again, like they did last year. I think that this team will have the best record in the NBA and the Western Conference, which, again, 3 straight West number 1 seeds is unbelievable in and of itself. But the month of April, they play the Lakers, the Jazz, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Suns. Only potentially 2 games are going to be handed to you, because the Clippers, they are going to be in a spot. They've already dug themselves such a hole right now, and Kawhi's already still going to be out for another week or 2, where you're looking at the Clippers, and the best they can hope for at that point is that they have a shot to either make the play-in period, or a shot to, with as slim as the margins are in the West, get to that 6 line and avoid the play-in. Which, why is that so important for them? Number 1, of course, it assures you a playoff spot. But number 2, if you're a top 6 team, you assure yourself that you're not going to be giving the Thunder another lottery pick. Because if, as you saw, like whenever they lost the play-in to the Pelicans, it gave the Thunder a lottery pick that turned into Jalen Williams. And it's like they're going to want to avoid that at all costs. So there's no incentive to them to lose. With Denver, I really believe that the Rockets are going to win enough, and perhaps the Spurs, who knows, like people are going to win enough to where the margin for Denver is going to be soft enough that they need that win to ensure the 2 seed. And the 2 seed for Denver is massive. We consider them the biggest challenger to OKC. And frankly, I don't want to speak for you, Brandon, but I think that we agree on this. The only challenger to Oklahoma City who can beat them in a 7-game series. You want to delay that matchup for as long as possible if you're Denver, and if you're Oklahoma City, frankly. But if you're Denver, they're going to be the ones in control of that in that game. And then the Lakers, again, the margin for error between the home court advantage seed and a lower seed than that, I think will be within a game. And so those 2 games will prove out to be important for their stake in that. So because of the competition in April too, it doesn't lend itself to 70 plus wins unless you're gunning for it. And I don't think this team will be gunning for it.
Yeah, I pulled up the schedule. You're exactly right. I may want to switch my answer because I didn't have the schedule in front of me when I said it. Yeah, these teams will mostly probably be trying to win that the Thunder are playing. Like you said, The Jazz are really the only team in April, and possibly the Suns, the very last game. Maybe at that point, the Suns may be going for the play-in, they may be going for the playoffs, or they may be tanking at that point. We have no idea what the Suns will be doing. And that Clippers game is the second night of a back-to-back for the Thunder, and it's on the road, and the Clippers will probably be fighting and scrapping for the play-in or the playoffs. Yeah, it's not going to be one of those situations, more than likely, where they're handed wins. So it's going to be close, though. Either way, this team, bottom line, this team, I do think, talent-wise, is a 70-win team. Whether or not they make 70 wins, whether or not they go for 70 wins, whether or not that happens, I think that the talent of this team is that of a 70-win team. I mean, we saw it last year. They're 68 wins last year, and they look better. They added Ajay Mitchell, who right now looks like a sixth man of the year front runner, to this rotation. And Chet looks better. And Cason Wallace looks better. Shai somehow looks better. Like Jada, when he comes back and healthy, is probably going to be better. That's what happens when you have a young, talented team that's still developing. They're going to get better. So I think the talent for 70 is there, but who knows if they actually get it.
Yeah, and I think that, when you look at this Thunder team, like the last thing on this is that it feels like this organization from top to bottom is just basketball savants, basketball historians. And you look back at like the Warriors comments after getting to 73 wins and how taxing that was in the regular season and how much that they feel like it hindered them for that deep playoff run. I think that will come into a part of it too. And again, I just referenced what Mark said at the end of last year, where it was like their goal wasn't to win the 1 seed overall in the NBA. Their goal was to be as fresh as possible heading into the playoffs. And that was last year with a young roster who didn't go on a long playoff run, who didn't have a shortened off season. And now this year, they're a year older, which doesn't matter. They're still a really young team, but they did have a shortened off season and they did have to go through a lot of rigors and tests in the postseason. But Brandon, thanks for joining us. Let them know what you're cooking up, and we're excited to have you as always on Lockdown Thunder.
Hey, thanks, man. You can find me at dailythunder.com. You can find me, like Rylan said, with him at OKC Dream Team, at OKC Roundtable, and I'm with the franchise 107.7 in Oklahoma City on the radio.
Go check out Brandon Rahbar on social media and on all of his platforms. And folks, this has been another fun edition of Lockdown Thunder. And until next time, be good and be good to one another.